Welcome back to Mythic Machines. On today's episode, we'll be back on the Ford F-150 that I'm doing for a farm. We're doing an engine swap. As you see, we have both engines out. So I was out of a 2002 Ford Explorer, and then we all have the engine we're swapping into the truck that we're swapping into, which is a 99 F-150. Now, both the engines are pretty much the same, or actually they're not really the same. Well, they are block-wise. Block-wise, the engine's the same. Everything else is slightly different, from exhaust, valve covers, front timing cover, all that, oil pan, all that had to be swapped over, which I'll show you later on in the video. But rambling here. But this is what we got going on. I'm doing a little quick tear down of the engines, and then we're going to be putting them all back together, cleaning them up, and getting them all back together. Alright, so pretty much got everything stripped down to the blocks. I just need to take the headers and the oil pan off when I'm done with this engine. But I wanted to show you that this is no bueno. So it's got a bad timing chain tensioner here, and it broke the guide. So it's supposed to be up there. Hold it just like this one here. There, see, this one's broken too. That's what you do not want to see. On my new engine, it looks good. Okay, so I'm putting the engine back together now. Apparently, I forgot to film and didn't show the different timing chains. But what I was going to show you is that the different slacks that they have, and then all the parts that I showed on the other one, like the broken guidelines, all looked good in this engine. Tensioners were tight, and it all looked good. And it had a little bit of a slack, but not too much where it was concerning, as it is a used engine, loose enough to need to do the timing chains. So, got all new seals and everything for the front cover, valve covers. I got a new tensioner, belt tensioner, idle pulleys, all that stuff, and I start putting it all back together. Once I get all that put back together, you'll see that I'll lift up my other engine, and I'll pull the oil pan off, and I'm going to show you what I found on there. So enjoy the speed run, and here we go. so I'm in the middle of doing oil pan swap. So this is what your oil's supposed to look like. Black. At least if you used oil, right? It's black in there. That's what this one looks like. It's got a creamy milkshake. And then I saw this earlier. I was like, oh wow. That piece here's got some major cracks on it. It's like, oh, I wonder if it's just the... Nope. It's the actual block that's cracked out. And then if you rotate the engine around, you got a little itty bitty window right there. Look at that. You can see right there, the window into the block. So this thing's definitely garbage. Nobody wants this thing after. And look at my little pan. That got me a little rod piece, looks like. So see what cylinder. Oh yeah. Rod. Yep, right there. See there? I lost that cylinder, lost that rod, put it through the block, put it up to the galleyway there, piston's still up in there. Yep, that's right. Lost number, cylinder number 1. If Ford still does its top right, cylinder number 1. So now I gotta clean out my pan. I'm gonna throw my other one on, set this over there, my tire, so it's out of the way. And then get my pan on that. But yeah. So now I know why this engine failed. It had water in the coolant. It eventually gave out that number 1 bearing. It broke the rod, put the rod through the block. So this engine is no bueno. Can't be rebuilt unless you want to try plugging the hole, but good luck with that. It's just better to get a new block. This one's a done for. I'll make a good center table if you want it for that. Just wanted to show you that real quick. Get back to tearing apart doing the little time warp deal. I'll be back. So what I'm doing right here is I'm taking the old gaskets and I'm taking tape and wrapping around them. It works great, especially on these newer engines where they have the plastic style, where they're hard and they're O-ring, and they have the little plastic tabs that slide right in and lock in. It works fantastic for that. So you just take the old ones, you wrap some tape around it, and you can set it there, and the little plastic tabs hold it in place. It is a fantastic way to keep your engine clean and not worry about putting a rag or something over it and forgetting about that rag and having that sucked in the engine and causing all kind of problem. That is what I normally do, but I continue out just cleaning out the engine, getting all that old nasty oil and metal chunks out of that oil pan. Do that for a bit and continue on putting it together. Alright, so my camera died right before I put the oil pan on the engine, but you can see it here. A couple days later, got everything all put together. And my dad helping me, so you see just, you know, with someone watch it as I lower the engine in. I need to go under, watch it down there as I lower the engine down into the hole in order to get the engine mounts lined up into where they need to go. Sometimes you gotta pry on the engine a little bit, move some fuel lines up out of the way, like you see you did there. Yeah, so you lower it down, just get it all settled in there, make sure it's clear from everything, roll it down in there. Alright, so right after we finished putting the engine in, I slid, put the gantry crane away, then we jacked up the truck and getting ready to put the transmission in. Now we did rebuild the transmission when we had it out, so it's a fresh built transmission that's going into this truck also. Because we did pull out the transmission, it did have some major wear in it, so it was ready for a rebuild. So my dad we rebuilt it, and it filmed me that. My dad's a transmission guy, he did all that, so they did that, and he's going to be giving me a hand. But for that, so right now what I'm doing is I'm blowing out the cooler lines for the transmission. So I'm making sure the cooler and all the lines are all clean and flushed out. I'm just using ether and an air blower to do that. It's not a difficult thing, but it is very highly recommended you do it, especially if you're putting a fresh transmission. You get all the old fluid out of there, particles, and debris that is caused by the last transmission. Because you want the best and healthiest transmission you're going to have. But after that's all finished, you can see he goes on with me. He stays on the right side. I'm operating the jack as we push it up into the truck, and we get the transmission in. It's nothing too hard or anything, it's just a heavy, bulky thing, and it's a lot easier with two people, especially when you're using a jack that bleeds. But he's not really doing any heavy lifting or anything. I'm mostly doing all that. He's just there to guide it and watch that side to make sure nothing gets pinched. And everything's out of the way when we hoist it up and slide it in. So there we get the transmission all stabbed in. Now I'm going to put it in the transfer case, which I just do it by hand. It's the easiest way for me to do it. My dad's putting the gasket on there, the seal. And I just flipped it up, set it in. They're not too bad. But after that, you bolt that down. Now we're putting in the exhaust and all that stuff. I'm going to not show a whole lot because this is the view you get. You just see us kind of moving around frantically and you don't really see much of what's going on. So that, continue on to the next part. Alright, with that we got the transmission all installed. Everything's ready to go in the bottom end, so I dropped it off down jack. So you can see I'm cleaning up the intake in the back corner there. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to get the top side all put together. And unfortunately, this is where all my video ends. Towards the end when I get the alternator on. But it wasn't an easy and quick and done install. After I get everything installed, radiator and everything, the radiator ended up leaking, so I had to get a new one of those. So I had to drain the coolant again, get a new radiator. The starter ended up being bad, so I had to use the starter from the Explorer, or the Expedition. It ended up being the same starter. And then fuel pump was also bad, so I had to drop the tank and put a new fuel pump in it. Because this truck sat for about 3 years. And then also had to get a new fuel injector because one of the fuel injectors went bad. But after I got all that, I cleared up all the codes we're having, all the issues we're having. The truck runs great, drives great. And it was completely done there. Unfortunately, I don't have a video of the truck running because I must have had that on my card and not download when I thought I did, and erased it in order to do the next video of building the garage extension. So unfortunately, dropped the ball quite a bit on this filming wise, but I still hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know if you liked the little longer style of the full sped up work on it. And with that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, if you'd be kind enough to like, comment, subscribe, there'll always be more videos to come and more work to be done. Until then, on to the next one.